Hi, everyone, and welcome to Gigging Out, a podcast about the people and businesses leading the gig economy. I'm Dana Gagnon, CMO at Every, and I'm excited to share this episode with Rebecca Oystila of Boka, a marketplace for beauty, health, and wellness providers. The idea for Boka began with a broken nail, and now it's poised to disrupt the beauty industry. Becca shares how she approached market research and validating her idea, what KPIs she's tracking at launch, how they recruit professionals to the platform, and why guerrilla marketing has been so effective on the demand side. She also talks about how thoughtful they've been about their fee model and why supporting the beauty professionals is central to everything they do. I know you'll learn a ton from Becca. Enjoy. Awesome, Becca. I'm so thrilled to have you with me here today. Can you tell the audience, what is Boka all about?
Yes, absolutely. So Boka is a marketplace for beauty, health, and wellness providers. We focus on freelancers instead of salons, even though we have some very small salons on there. We focus on at-home appointments in beauty, health, and wellness, last-minute appointments, and salon suite appointments, which basically we think is the future of the industry. We think more and more people want to work for themselves, whatever sector they're in, and we think beauty is going to follow suit.
Yeah, I love the last minute. I feel like every time I want to get my hair cut or something, I wait until the last minute when I can't stand my hair. And then it takes, 6 to 8 weeks to get an appointment with someone. So to have a marketplace where I could actually view last minute appointments sounds really amazing. Can you tell me how you came up with the idea? What's the origin story?
So what I needed was actually a last minute appointment. I was going on a trip. I broke a nail. I have gel manicure, red nails. So I didn't want to leave for my trip with one nail being completely gone and then having to deal with that when I arrive at my location. So I do my regular, it's like around 7 p.m. I start calling first the people I normally go to. They don't have any availability. Then I go on Yelp, start looking around, looking for good rating, call more people, ask my friends, nothing. And I'm like, oh, this is absurd. Why can I not just go to one place where all of this is located, where I can just see the lifetime? And if there's no one available, I want to know that. So I don't have to spend my night calling and getting annoyed. So that's kind of how the seed was born. And then I started talking about it to my friends, to people around me, and everyone is like, yeah, this should exist. It's crazy it doesn't. So eventually, after a few weeks of just talking about it, I'm like, I'm doing it. That's how it came to be, a broken nail.
That's amazing. I love it. That's probably the biggest catalyst from a nail break ever.
Right.
Can you talk about, so when was all this? Can you talk a little bit? We're talking here at the end of April, your pre-launch. When did you say, I'm going for this? I'm gonna build Boka. What has the time frame been, and what are some of the activities that you first did to get started?
The absolute beginning, the broken nail, happened in October 2021. And then I was kind of sitting on it for a while, talking about it, not really doing anything. I didn't start. I slowly started in February 2022. And then in end of April, that was when we actually started, when I put together a team with my co-founder, my CTO. And yeah, we were just like, let's do it. And that's when we actually started working on building the app.
That's really cool. And you had previous entrepreneurship experience, is that correct? Can you talk a little bit about your background?
Yes, absolutely. So I'm from a small town in the north of Sweden. I moved to Los Angeles when I was 20. I mean, my absolute beginning was that I used to be a gardener in the neighborhood. I used to have stamp cards and walk around and knock doors and ask people if they wanted any help with gardening. And then I used to just charge them. And this was very young, I don't even know, 8, 9, maybe. And then I had a little massage business for my family. I used to give them massages, and I did the same thing. I had stamp cards, after 10 massages, you get 10 minutes for free. So I think I've always kind of had it in me of trying to figure out ways of doing stuff. And then I moved here. In the beginning, coming to America, I couldn't work because I didn't have my paperwork. So I went to school, but then eventually when I could work, I started doing some styling. Me and a friend of mine, we had kind of a creative agency we started. We did styling of all different kinds. Then me and the same friend did a secondhand vintage refurbishing business. We took designer shoes, we make them look brand new. So we bought them at maybe 75% off, made them look brand new, cleaned the undersoles, the heel tips, fixed them up so they looked new, and then we sold them for a big discount. So this was kind of like a COVID hobby that we did. We did the same with clothing. So I guess I've always kind of been tapping into entrepreneurship, yes. But this is the first time I'm doing a tech venture.
You mentioned COVID. I did think it was interesting, the timing of the start of Boka. I mean, I remember kind of early pandemic days, people were too afraid to get their hair cut in a salon. And I remember seeing my neighbors in their backyard, like a hairstylist had come to their house and was like cutting all of their hair in their backyard. Like, do you think you would have come up with this idea if the pandemic didn't happen? Or will it at least like, I mean, it's maybe not born out of the pandemic, but did it kind of validate the idea for Boka for you?
It definitely validated the idea. So during COVID, even, that was one of the most common questions I was asked, and people around me, like what we asked each other, we always asked about at home nail technicians, or as you're saying, haircuts, or coloring your eyebrows, like all the beauty, health, and wellness services in your house since you couldn't go anywhere. So that for sure kind of validated that it would work. And then I also noticed that after COVID, a lot of my friends, they kept on having people coming to their houses. They didn't want to go to the salon anymore. So I think COVID kind of introduced the idea and made it more acceptable. So now it doesn't feel so weird anymore to have someone coming to you.
So you found a co-founder who's more on the technology side. Can you talk about building toward launch? Did you start with like an MVP that was more manual in nature? How did you sort of, kind of begin the process of building the technology behind Boka?
So first of all, me and my co-founder did a lot of market research. This was his idea. This is not his first venture. Thank God. He's been so helpful. So we did a lot of market research. We interviewed clients, like end users, and then we also interviewed a lot of beauty professionals. We asked them literally everything, like what worries you, what's good in your business right now, what's your biggest problems, and with them we kind of came to build out the functionality of the apps, like what do we need first, what are we going to include later on, but what's the absolute most necessary functions. So that's kind of how we started. After we've done that for around a month, we started building the app. And both me and him, were super involved. We sat in every single design meeting, every single button we like moved around. No, up a little, down a little. We were super involved, both of us. So that was really nice, just like the commitment from his side as well, from an early start. So that's kind of how we started. And then, we just continued building throughout the summer and all the way until now. I mean, we have a small team, so it's taken some time. But yeah, now we're ready to launch finally.
Have you already given thought? I don't know if you've already started to recruit, beauty professionals on the app. Can you talk a little bit about that process and when you started it, and what are some of the tactics and strategies you're using?
Yes, absolutely. So we have started. We already have providers on the app. This is a growing number. We actually had a really good response, which has been amazing. And this far, it's been me reaching out to people personally, from like social media accounts or through friends, through contacts. So for now, all the onboarding has been 100% free. It's just been my time spent reaching out to providers. And it's been so nice. So I've found providers I like. I reached out to them. I've had calls with them, Zoom calls with most of them. Actually, every single provider that's on the app right now, I personally had a call with of some kind at some point, which has been really nice to just get to know them even more and kind of once again validate that what we're building is needed. And so that's this far what we've been doing. We're also going to be doing a lot of guerrilla marketing here in Los Angeles, of just handing out flyers with discount codes straight to the app. I actually, when I was at a restaurant previous weekend, and I saw so many tables with just like girls sitting and chatting, looking fabulous. And I'm like, these are the people I should right now walk up to and hand a discount code, but yet not have the flyers. But yeah, LA is full of people that I think would be potential users of the app.
Yeah, absolutely. I love when I hear founders talk about guerrilla marketing activities in the early days, because it's when you can do them, right? Like you don't have to have necessarily all strategies that can scale from the start. Like it's really a great way to get the word out. Are you how are you enticing the providers to come to your platform? Can you talk a little bit about the pricing model, or how I think you said on your LinkedIn that you want to empower them to earn as much income as possible from their services. Can you talk about how you are, making this beneficial for them from a pricing standpoint and how you're monetizing the platform?
Yes. So, as both you and I know, and most other people, the gig economy is growing really, really fast. Most people want to work for themselves. You usually make more money doing so. You can set your own schedule, and you also can actually work on your personal brand, especially for someone in beauty, health, and wellness. The personal brand aspect, I feel, is very important. On a lot of the current sites, if you work on the current sites that exist, you can't decide your services yourself. You can't decide the pricing yourself. You're kind of locked into doing something someone else is telling you to do. I want to be the opposite. I want to give them complete freedom, like whatever services they want, whatever pricing they want, whatever add on they want, so they can actually focus on their own personal brand and building their own personal brand, because they're artists at the end of the day. So that's one way in which I encourage and empower them of like being and building their own brand. A lot of other sites also recommend their providers to only be with their site. Um, I don't do this at all. I think the same way as being a restaurant, you should be on Postmates and Grubhub and being able to order from Yelp and being on every single like Open Table, Resy, all the sites. I think a beauty provider should do the same. And then if something sticks and works really well and you make really good money there, then of course it's a natural step to only be on that site. But until then, I think try everything. And then we also charge very low commission fees per appointment. If you work in a salon today, you usually have to give up like around 70% of the service price to the salon. Like you don't get paid that well at the end of the day. We're charging a very, very small fee. And for now, that's all we're charging. We don't have any monthly fees, nothing. So basically, having 1-2 appointment with us is like a full day working in a salon.
Wow, that's wild. Did you say 70% of the service fee?
Yes.
That's
Yes, yes,
unreal.
yes. And
I guess
sometimes even just an hour, like minimum wage.
right. I guess that's true. I bet it varies salon to salon. Like a lot of times they're paid a lot on tips and then just per client or whatever it might be. That's fascinating. Speaking of tips, are you allowing for tipping through the platform? Have you thought through that yet?
Yes, we have. So we built this app with a lot of inspiration from other great apps out there. So yes, we have tipping, and the way it works is kind of like when you finish an Uber ride, you get a notification, you can tip straight away. We don't charge anything on tipping. That goes straight to the provider, of course.
What was going through your head the first time that a beauty professional was like, "Yes, I'm gonna join your app"? Can you talk about that feeling?
Yes. I was so happy. That was actually a while ago when I just started reaching out to people. And at this point, I was still like figuring out the messaging. Now it's easier because we just got on board a really great CMO, and she's been phenomenal and so helpful in helping with everything from positioning, point of view, messaging. But in the beginning, it was kind of just me reaching out to people, and the first way I did it was just by saying, "Hey, I love your work," to the people I like their work. I have a work opportunity for you. Can I chat with you shortly, or something like that? And yeah, it was this one girl. She was a hairdresser, and she was super excited. She's still super excited. I talk to her often. And yeah, she was the first one.
I bet the community, I would think that it's a pretty tight knit community. And so if a stylist is on the platform and they like it, they're going to tell their friends. Have you seen that to be true so far, or are you planning for that?
That has happened multiple times. So many times when I've spoken with someone and I've gotten them to onboard, later on they reached out to me again and said, "Oh, my friend is a nail technician. She wants to come on," or "My friend is a masseuse." Because as you're saying, it's a very, very tight knit community. It's an endless amount of Facebook groups just focusing on girls that do waxing or girls that do eyebrows. And in these groups, they support each other, they help each other. So, as I'm seeing it, we're kind of like the last step in helping these providers because they have a lot of resources from each other. What they don't have is just like a marketplace to list their services, build their own name, be their own artist, and then make money doing so. Because we are also, another angle we're really focusing on is people that might not even want to take the step of fully being a freelancer yet, but just want to make some extra money on days off or weekends, nighttime. Those people can also come on the app. They don't pay anything monthly, so the only fee they would ever pay to us is after an appointment has taken place. So it's literally just a way to earn extra income.
Yeah, it's fascinating because I wonder how many, beauty professionals might do other gig jobs on the side to earn extra income. They might drive for Uber or shop for Instacart. And it's like, well, if they could use their craft to make side money instead, I mean, they'd probably prefer that. And so you're really kind of enabling that to them to set their own schedule and do that even as a side hustle.
Yes, exactly.
So it sounds like you're starting in LA. Are you only starting in LA? And can you talk a little bit about how you're thinking about geographic expansion? When will you know it's time to open up a new market? Can you talk through that?
Yes, for sure. So we're starting in LA, California, actually. We're doing LA, OC, and a few different cities around here where we're starting. And the reason being, I have a network here of people in the industry already. I know a lot of influencers that are kind of beauty influencers, which are going to help us get the word out. I also believe that LA is one of the capitals of beauty, health, and wellness in the world. Like a lot of new trendy treatments come here. People are very willing to try new trendy treatments as well. So California just felt like the perfect place to launch it. Do all the testing, kind of create a blueprint for how to launch in the next city. But yes, we are planning on expanding to other selected cities around the US to begin with.
Very cool. Are there certain like KPIs you're going to track for launch? And once you hit a certain, growth metric, then you'll consider opening up a new location? Or can you kind of give a little bit of insight into how you'll measure success in the early days?
Yes, absolutely. So the amount of providers we have on the app are important because the moment we said we need at least 10 providers in every vertical to be able to launch it because there's no use in having one person doing nails. You're never going to be able to book a nail appointment. So we need at least 10 people in every vertical to be able to launch that segment. And then we want, of course, more than that because the more people we have, providers, the more we can actually push to get it out to end users. Because that's kind of the dance we're doing right now of like, we want demand and supply to meet at a really good place. So what we said this far is when we have around 200 providers altogether, it's probably going to be a pretty good roll-up of bookings. It's always going to be availability for different categories. So when we have around 200, we're going to look at launching in other cities around here. So like that might be San Diego, San Francisco. And then when they're kind of self-sustaining, we are looking at Miami. It's going to be one of the cities we go to next. Same with New York to begin with. But another thing we're already started doing is we're collecting email addresses with locations from providers to see if there's any cities we're kind of overseeing where we naturally should go because we already have providers there willing to sign up on the app.
You mentioned the supply demand dance, which every marketplace has to go through, like the chicken and egg. Which do you focus on first? It sounds like you spent a lot of time, finding providers. Can you talk about, you mentioned guerrilla marketing, influencer marketing. Are there other strategies you'll deploy to attract consumers to the app when it launches?
Yes, so we're doing referral programs, both for influencers, but also for anyone. And this we're doing for both providers and end users. So if you refer a provider, you get a bigger chunk to spend on the app. And if you refer an end user, you also get, when they book something, you get an amount to spend on the app as well. So referral marketing, guerrilla marketing, a lot of it, like flyers in all kinds of different places, handing out business card with discount codes. And then like social media ads, advertising on social media, of course, as well. And we're also going to be hosting these fun parties where we invite providers and just clients that wants to come, and also influencers with sponsors from different health brands, and kind of creating like health days where we do classes with providers from the app, like maybe a yoga class and a sound bath. And then for the providers to have a chance to showcase their services and their work and meet people in real life. Like, I'm a strong believer meeting people in real life immediately gives credibility. Or like when you see them do some work, or even if it's just an eyebrow coloring, which is very fast, if you can have that service for free. And then also, of course, in today's society, if that happens, people post about it on social media, which again is a great opportunity to be seen by more people.
I love that you're thinking about the in-person, because a marketplace is inherently so digital and, could be just happening on the internet, but you're ultimately connecting people. And a lot of the use case is people coming to their house. So I could see how having a lower barrier to meeting providers at an event per se would make that a lot easier for people and more comfortable.
Yes, exactly.
Are you thinking about expanding the actual breadth of services you provide, or do you really want to just stick within like the beauty and wellness space?
So to begin with, we're just focusing on beauty and wellness, beauty, health, and wellness. So now what we're doing is we're targeting selected providers in the 5 most popular services, which is like nails, skin, hair, body work, and brows and lashes. So that's what we're focusing on right now. But eventually, we're going to open up to anyone in beauty, health, and wellness, whatever they're doing in beauty, health, and wellness. And then eventually, depending on how it goes, who knows? At the end of the day, So it's a great place to just list any service. And there's many services still today that are hard to find. But definitely, main focus is beauty, health, and wellness. And that's really what we're like passionate about helping with. And also, that's the category where we feel the providers really need some empowerment.
Can you talk about the name Boka? What is it about?
Absolutely. So it's a Swedish word. I'm Swedish. It means book in Swedish. And I wanted something short and cute, something that's easy to remember, and something you can use as a verb. So I'm always saying to my friends, oh, you should Boka it. You should Boka it.
Makes for, short for a business name is the way to go. I love it. Why do you think this industry in particular was so ripe for disruption? Like when you were talking through your process of the broken nail, if I, again, wait last minute and I want to get my nails done, I have to like manually call every salon within 5 miles of me, because otherwise I'd have to drive to each and see if they have availability. Why has it taken so long for the beauty industry to kind of catch up with this modernization?
Why it's taken so long? I honestly don't really know the answer to this question. I think maybe it has something to do with the fact that 91% of hairdressers, hairstylists, cosmetologists are women. It's still most people that are doing the bookings are women. And I think more often than not, when something like this come to be, it's from someone that has the problem themselves, experienced the problem themselves. I mean, I know I'm not the first one experiencing this problem. I'm probably not the first one even having this idea. Like, probably a million people have said before that it should be an easier way of booking this. Um, so I think that could be a reason why. And I also think another reason why could be that today, even though it's complicated, a lot of people do find their beauty bookings online on, say, social media. So for a client, there's still like ways to do it which aren't that uncomfortable, especially if you're not in a rush. Like last minute, that is just very hard to deal with. But like if you're not in a rush, there's ways to do it which aren't that uncomfortable. But on the other hand, the people that are more suffering right now, I would say, are the freelancers, the gig workers, because they don't have cancellation fees if you do it on social media. They have a lot of no shows. They show up in spots and no one is there to greet them. And people don't want to pay in advance before they had their service performed. So that is one huge reason why I believe is because the people that have been struggling the most with this are the worker side of it, not the client side. There is a huge problem on the client side as well, because it's not easy, it's not convenient. Like imagine going back to the days now when you can't go on Open Table to make a reservation. Like I live for Open Table. I don't call a restaurant anymore if I don't absolutely have to. So yeah, that's kind of what I foresee is going to happen with this too. Like when this is up, why would you ever again go on Yelp or call around or go on social media and browse there when you can just do it on the site and see all the providers available?
So you're about a monthish out from launch. If you could go back in time and tell Becca from October of 2021 when you first had the idea, something that you now know, is there any advice that you would have given yourself when you started on this journey that you kind of have now come to realize?
Yes, I think I would just say do it faster because there's going to come up problems along the way anyways, and I'm sure there's going to come new ones when we launch that we have to deal with at that point. So I would honestly just say to myself, just go faster, just do it, get it out there, and then take it as it comes. Because that is something I really had to learn, to just give up control and kind of go with the flow. And the things I thought would work really well has not worked as well as the things I didn't think would work so well. So I would just say, just go and take it as it comes and just push.
It's always hard, yeah, to go faster. I mean, was it a matter of just like having to be okay with letting go of some of like the perfection or the quality you were looking for just to get things out in market? Yeah.
Yes, that's definitely what it was in the beginning. I think now I used to be very much a perfectionist, and now I'm more like, this is great. Let's improve it as we go.
Yeah, it's so smart. You got to get that feedback loop going. So it's great advice. In terms of how you're building the business, are you bootstrapping it yourself? Have you done any fundraising yet? Do you want to speak to that at all?
Yes, so we have angel investments of friends and family, and that's how we've been doing it this far. So we're soon going to open up a raise. We just want to launch before and show some traction and proof of concept, and then we're going to open up a raise.
What do you think is in store for the future of the gig economy when it comes to the beauty industry? Do you have any predictions for where you think this is going?
Yes, I do. I think people more than ever want to work for themselves. I think COVID again. Speaking, I don't want to talk too much about COVID, but again, I think that really made people realize that you can work from most places. You can kind of be your own boss, set your own schedule more, and I think that mindset is here to stay. There's a reason why more and more workers want to partake in the gig economy. I think the same is true for beauty, health, and wellness. And we're offering them a place where they can not only earn extra income, but also build their online portfolio, their online presence. And I think if there's anything people in the beauty industry wants, at least the people I've come in contact with, it's to be their own brand. like have their own brand, maybe even start giving out classes, teaching other people, give certificates. Like they want to build their own name up. Most people work in a salon until they can open their own salon. That's like the end goal for most people. So I think the future is not salons. I think the future is at-home appointments, salon suites, people working for themselves. Like I think it's time in this industry that the power is giving back to the actual artist, the actual person performing the appointment. So I truly believe that's the future. And again, like you don't go to a salon you like. Most often you go to a person you like. And now they can come to you as well for the days when you don't feel like going somewhere.
I mean, it's interesting. It'd be interesting if someone starts their career off on your app and it's like they can bypass the salon altogether. I mean, I'm sure a lot of them start there to get, a client, because someone's going to call that salon and book an appointment. So they're naturally going to get clients. But you could see a future where it kind of removes the need for that salon start altogether, potentially.
Yeah, absolutely. We are reaching out to a lot of beauty schools, a lot of people doing certificates. We're kind of trying to get those people to come on the app after they're done with their education to build a resume. And again, like they can, even if they want to, start with a lower pricing whilst they build their clientele, build their portfolio. And since the cut we're taking is so low, even if they start lower, they'll probably still make more than they would in a salon.
Oh, that's brilliant. I didn't even think about going straight to salon schools. That's super smart acquisition strategy for you on the provider side. I always like to, you've kind of answered this a little bit because you're launching soon and you talked about the market expansion, but I always like to end on what's next for Boka. Can you give us like a little sneak peek into where you hope you'll be maybe 6 months, a year from now?
Yes, definitely. So we want to continue being really tight with the providers. We want to continue building the app with the providers, the actual ones that are going to be using it. Of course, the clients as well, they're very important too, but we really truly believe that the providers for so long has kind of been overseen and all the focus has been at the experience of the customer. And we think it absolutely should be. And the only reason that can happen is by empowering the provider to just having to focus on the appointment itself. Like right now, a provider spends around 10 hours a week on everything else except for the appointments, like retention, sending emails, doing this, doing all of that. We're going to take care of all of that for them. So I see us continue to empower the freelancers. I see us giving them an excellent service so they can give a great service to the end users. I want in a year from now, if someone needs a last minute appointment, I want them to first of all think of Boka. Just open the app, see if anything is available. I don't want anyone to having to go on a trip again with a broken nail and start their vacation off like that. It shouldn't be a thing anymore. And in a year as well, I am confident that we have spread to some other cities as well. So that's kind of the route I see us taking.
Well, it's so cool to get to talk to you at this stage of your journey. If people want to learn more about Boka or Becca, how do they find you?
So on LinkedIn, my name, Rebecca Oystila. And if anyone wants to reach out to me, I'm happy to chat.
If you come to Salt Lake, I'll be booking some last minute appointments for sure. So please do make it out here.
I cannot wait. We will.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today. It's awesome to hear your origin story and to see where Boka is going. I really appreciate you taking the time.
Thank you so much. It was so nice chatting with you.
This podcast was brought to you by Every. We work with gig companies, marketplaces, delivery businesses, and more to pay their workers fast. You can learn more at every.com.